guys.
How you doing? So you were talking about yesterday. You did an interview where you talked about.
You guys all gotta. Before you listen, you have to tell me where you're from, websites or whatever, or what paper. Obviously, you got some guys I know, some of you guys I know, but I want to know where everybody's from.
Cool. I'm with My MMA News.
My MMA, okay.
Sorry. You were talking about yesterday how you have an advantage over a lot of the guys in this promotion because of your experience and stuff. You talked about placement and balance, how you can keep up delivering punches with power. Is there anything you're working on as far as like with not having the gloves on, protecting your hands, stuff like that?
Well, yeah, I think there's always adjustments to be made as far as the way you're going to throw punches, as far as the way you're going to even receive punches and whatnot. We're obviously working in some way, shape, or form to make those small adjustments. But I think your base is your base. Whatever base you have. My base is boxing. But of course, there's some fundamental differences we will be working on, and we have been working on. And so we plan on making the adjustments we need to make, but also keeping the things we want to keep. And I think proper balance and proper shape is very important in this, regardless of what your background and where you're coming from. I think when you throw haymakers and when you throw big shots, it puts you out of position to follow up, at least follow up instantaneously with the way fighters or boxers like to do. I have that. I feel like I have that advantage where I can follow up instantaneously. If I hit you with one, I'm gonna hit you with four. Especially barehanded, I'm very fast, and I'm gonna make sure it's not pretty.
Paulie, first boxing now. Have you ever seen these fights?
Yeah, I have. I've watched a few of the fights. Like I said, there are definitely some fundamental differences. There's also some things that boxers can take advantage of, and there's also some things that can be taken advantage of where boxers may not be used to it. So like I said, there's adjustments to be made. There's also things that need to be used that you would maybe be in your arsenal that you can use, and also maybe you use more specifically in bare knuckle than you would in regular glove boxing. But there are things, regardless, nonetheless, that there are things you will be using and you will need to take with you in this, of course.
People that don't know nothing about bare knuckle boxing, how many rounds, how many minutes each round, what is
I've been told they're 5 2-minute rounds. They could be 7 2-minute rounds, depending on, I guess, the importance of the fight or whatnot. Regardless, it's fine with me. There's, like I said, I think the reason for the 7 2-minute rounds, obviously, you're probably taking more damage with bare knuckles. You're also, the clinch work is a little different. There's more probably. I feel like you're doing more work in the clinches as opposed to in the clinches in boxing. You pick up a couple of cheap rests, But of course, it goes both ways. Mixed martial artists rest a lot in the guard. Boxers will get a shorter rest, but nonetheless a small rest in the clinches. I think those kind of go out the window a little bit in the clinches here in BKFC, because it seems like a lot of the clinches in BKFC are based on different kinds of work. So there's definitely a fundamental difference there, and I think because of that, the 7 2-minute rounds are probably good and plenty even.
Well, it's Mike Log from USA Today and MMA Junkie. What was the motivation for doing this? I mean, obviously you've done very well broadcasting, all that kind of stuff. Why did you decide to come back and fight bare knuckle now?
There wasn't really a motivation per se. When it was first brought up to me, I didn't even really consider it. I just thought it was like a joke. I was talking to Dave Feldman. We were guests on a podcast, MMA podcast radio show in Vegas, and he was very nice, and we were just chatting it up. And we were actually started talking about the broadcast part of it, I basically I'm allowed to work with other networks as long as it's not competing with Showtime. So we're talking about that, and Dave just mentioned, well, what about you fighting, and I didn't really consider it, I was like, nah, I don't think it's for me, I'm kind of good where I'm at right now. But then he started throwing out numbers that started to get my attention, numbers that I would say, that if they were there for boxing, I'd probably be fighting, but they're not, so I'm not. I don't have to fight, but if you give me a certain number, you may get me to consider it. And they've kind of reached those points, so then it got me past that step A, which step A was getting past the first part of the conversation. And once we got past that first part of the conversation, things just started coming together easier, and here we are.
Yeah, you've obviously been around the fight game a lot, but now that you're planning to come back, you're probably starting to train, starting to think about it. What does it feel like? Does it feel different, especially since it's a different environment? Like, do you feel kind of newborn again in that sense?
I don't think you're ever reborn. I think guys that tell you that or just kind of motivate themselves, but I do think that in 2 years you miss it. It feels good to kind of be back in shape. It feels good to throw punches and throw sharp shots and see combinations coming together. And feels good just to have that kind of looking forward to something, you know. Like, I think for the duration of a combat sports career, even right after a fight, you know, you're not looking forward to a fight, but you know you will be training again for a fight. You have something to look forward to. And, you know, for the past couple of years, I haven't really had that to look forward to. You know, it's kind of been just like chilling out, having a good time, but at the same time not having that goal-oriented mind, you know. And all of a sudden now you put a fight in front of me and I'm training for it, and it gets me excited to be in the gym every day. I'm sure there will be days where it's not so fun. Right now we've just started camp, and obviously every day is fun. You know, right now every day is like, you know, what I have to look forward to. You know, and that way I feel mentally reborn, and that, you know, I'm excited about it. But like I said, I'm sure over the course of a long camp, there's going to be times where, you know, I'm going to be waking up and be like, oh, this sucks. You know, but I think that's par for the course. You know, overall though, I do feel mentally rejuvenated, as far if that's probably the correct word to say. I don't think you're ever physically rejuvenated, but I think mentally you can find motivation, and it can push you and spur you on to push yourself and be a positive person when in regards to chasing certain goals.
Oscar Mac, do you think your boxing pedigree brings legitimacy to bare knuckle boxing?
Absolutely, I do. I think honestly, any names bring legitimacy to bare knuckle boxing. I think BKFC is the fights I've watched. They're actually fun fights. You know, it's a promotion that I think people would enjoy watching if it has the correct eyes on it. And I think they've just needed to legitimize themselves by signing some recognizable fighters. You know, right now the recognizable fighters are still kind of sticking to what they do. Mixed martial artists are in their prime are sticking to MMA fights, and boxing fighters in their prime are sticking to boxing. You know, but I do think that getting the eyes on somebody like myself, which will bring more eyes to the sport in general, I think we'll open up fighters' eyes and say, you know what, maybe there's money to be made here. Maybe I can do this. Maybe this is something that could be for me as an option or an avenue for it. And you know, you may see more fighters coming over in their prime. I do think that better fighters will continue to come over. If you look at boxing 120 years ago, I don't think it was the level that it was today. You know, guys' punches were wider, guys would go more balanced. Now they're very sharp, very good fighters. The early UFC tournaments were much more primitive, tough, absolutely, but much more primitive than you see the modern mixed martial artists at world-class level, where they're just so precise with everything they do. You know, and so I think bare knuckle boxing will also come into that phase as well. Where right now you do see a lot of primitive skills coming in and some really sloppy stuff at times, but I do think as it gains more legitimacy, more fighters will come to BKFC, and then more fighters coming to BKFC, you will also have some good fighters, even world-class fighters, starting to get there, and I think you're going to see some very, very good fighters come over in the long run, just like as you saw the other sports kind of growing, the other promotions, the other brands growing in that way as well.
You said motivation, the money's right, you can take the fight, you're in here, you're taking this fight. Is there a title with this organization, bare knuckle boxing?
I think there's probably titles. I don't know what the ultimate goal would be. Right now, I just kind of came in, and it tickled my fancy. You know, financially tickled my fancy, and also just the opportunity to, you know, have, like I said, I was telling you before, to have that goal-oriented mind. Just wake up in the morning and have something to chase, something to look forward to, something to do. You know, and like I said, not that I wasn't enjoying my life before, but you know, when you have that edge of rush and adrenaline that you always lived by, after a while you kind of feel like something's missing, you know. And so you know, obviously I haven't competed in this yet, but just getting ready for it every day has given me like a new lease on life, so to speak, and a new excitement to get up every day and have a goal and have a plan for that day, and have a goal and have a plan for that training camp, you know. And so you know, I don't know, you know, obviously money was important. I wouldn't have got past step A if the money wasn't right. But once we got there, you know, I can be excited about all the other stuff we ended up talking about, because even with the money, some other things had to come together, and I think it has.
And just to be clear, just so there's no illusions, the plan is to fight Artem in June, around that sort of time?
You know, without disrespecting Jason Knight, because we'll see what happens Saturday, I think that the promotion obviously would want to see Malignaggi and Lobov in June or summertime, whatever, you know. I don't have a problem with it. At first I thought it was a ridiculous fight. I really didn't think there was much to it, you know, but I do see that it's picking up traction. I do see that, you know, there's, even you just asked me about it, I see that fans in general are talking about it. So I guess it's a fight that that maybe should be made. I don't know, you know. I guess we'll see Saturday, because you also don't want to put the cart before the horse, you know. Maybe Artem wins Saturday, but he looks like dog shit, you know, and then kind of would kill the promotion. Or maybe Artem wins Saturday, but he's cut. Or maybe Artem doesn't win Saturday. You know, I don't think much of Artem as a fighter. I'll be fairly honest with you. You know, I think he's a good punching bag. You know, he lasts, he takes a good shot, and he takes a lot of them. But I don't rate him as a fighter on skill set and on ability, you know. But
But you know, I guess everybody else kind of is talking about it and is discussing it. And anytime you have something like that, I guess you have potential to sell and market something very well.
Well, with the history with McGregor, it just makes all the sense in the world, right? That sort of feels why the promotion would have brought you in is to fight Artem.
Yeah, because you can't get Conor in there. You know, Conor has his own things going on, and you can't get Conor in there. So I guess maybe the next best thing is to put one of his boys in the hospital. You know, and that's the goal really. If I get somebody in Conor's team into the cage with me, onto the ring with me, whatever they are over here, the goal is not just to win, because of course I'm going to win. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a foregone conclusion me winning a fight like this. You know, against any mixed martial arts fighter. But so it's the goal would be I have to really excel at something more. You know, just beating a guy like this is basically like beating a guy in my first 5 pro fights. You know, it doesn't really do anything for me on an adrenaline basis. It's a fight I look at it like I'm supposed to win it. It's a fight like I look at it I'm supposed to be superior to him, and it's a fight that I look at it like, you know, it's kind of expected. But so the goal would be to put him in a hospital and make sure he spends most of the summer in the hospital. And that would be the goal for me.
Did you train with him or any of other Conor's teammates when you brought in, or was it just Conor?
I spent time with some of the other guys, but not Artem, because Artem actually, they're like him and Conor types. So he stayed in the other house with the trainers. You know, they had like a nicer house. I think some of the other sparring partners, we were like a lower level house, to put it mildly. So there was not really a lot of communication with Artem. The only communication was one day when me and Conor sparred, he just said, "Yo, that was good work." You know, he just came up to me, and that was it. You know, but that was it. You know, I saw him do some work with Conor in boxing in the gym. I remember thinking this guy's really bad. Like I didn't think Conor was that good, but he was bad. He was really bad. Like so if he's anything like that, I mean I worry for him for Saturday night too, because anybody can win that fight. That means, you know, I know I've been told like that by people that Jason Knight is more of a ground guy than a stand-up guy. I don't know where the strengths are, but if Artem is anything like I saw him 2 years ago in that training camp, I mean any punch could potentially land on him, you know. So I don't know what the deal would be, but you know, hopefully for him he's improved a little bit, you know, and we'll find out Saturday night.
Paulie,
Will you be there
South
Saturday?
there with AV Boxing.
I should be there.
South there with AV Boxing means knowing that Conor McGregor retired, leaves the market open for him to compete wherever he wants. Do you feel like that fight between you and him has to happen here and bare knuckle fighting championship? Not looking past your next opponent.
I think if me and Conor were to fight, bare knuckle would be a good median, so to speak. You know, me not going into the cage and him not coming to a glove boxing fight. Sure, you know, I think you kind of look at it like you know, we kind of meet in the middle, so to speak, and in this kind of bare knuckle situation, I don't see it as a problem. I see it more as a good solution. You know. But I've gone over this before. You know, I think Conor can lose to anybody except me, because if he loses to me, people know he lied, and I think your fans forgive you for a lot of things, but your fans don't forgive you for lying. You know, so I see Conor as really fighting anybody but me, despite the money, despite whatever's been thrown in, because he's been offered more money to fight other guys, to fight me than he has for anybody else aside from Floyd. You know, he can't get Pacquiao, he can't get Canelo, so those fights are out the window. You don't even bother talking about those. But as far as realistic fights, he was getting ready to talk about Donald Cerrone. He was a good MMA fighter, but it wouldn't have brought the money that was fighting me. You know, we can bring more money than he made each team fight to be, but he won't do it. And I don't blame him for doing it. You know, I'll beat the living shit out of that guy if I catch him in any of these things right here. So it's probably better off for him, and he knows it, and I know it, and so, you know, it's just kind of go my own way. You know, I guess it brought me to a different weird situation where now people are talking about me and Lobov, and the way I look at it, me and Lobov, like I said, I don't look at it like a very competitive fight, but I look at it like free money. And I look at it like I can set the goal to a higher standard. I shouldn't just beat Lobov, I should put him in a hospital. Otherwise, it's not like a win for me, you know? And of course, the money they're going to pay me to fight a guy like Lobov, I mean, it's more money than I made for some of my bigger fights, you know? So I'm basically fighting a punching bag with legs to get that money. So for me, you know, I can only hope that Saturday goes well for him, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens after that.
Well, you mentioned Conor's retirement. It seems like, I know you've spoken about how you think the UFC treats its fighters in the past. It seems Conor wants a piece of the UFC to come in. Do you feel like he deserves something like that to continue his career in MMA?
I don't know. That's a business chat for him and his team, and to have with the UFC. The higher ups of the UFC. You know, I don't really talk about other people's business like that, finances. You know, I've talked about the money Conor's making because I can compare it to the money he's been offered to fight me. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only reason I've gotten into that part of the finances. But I don't typically get into other fighters' finances. As far as if he would get a piece of the UFC or not, that's his business and that's the UFC's business. They want to part with it if they want to give him a part, and that's up to Conor's team if he can get a part of it. You know, to tell you the truth, I don't know that it is a good thing for the UFC to be associated with a brand like that because his brand is turning to shit. You know, I don't know that you can that you should really probably any big sponsors or any big corporations would want to be involved or have their name associated with a brand like his. But again, it's a business decision, and I'm not involved with that.
Cool. JRC will fight next knowing that there's been a long-standing feud between boxing fans and MMA fans, do you feel that you're essentially carrying the boxing banner, like when you fight in a organization like this, that you have to kind of represent the sport of boxing? If MMA gets one win over us, it'll be forever. For the next 5 years, Paulie lost against an MMA guy. Is there any added pressure in that? You know,
I never really ever considered that before. You know, I always considered combat sports as to be respected. Anybody who does combat for a living to be respected. It's not an easy way to make a living. So regardless of what you do for a living, be it MMA, be it boxing, be it Muay Thai, be it kickboxing, or be it whatever else other combat sport you do, I always looked at it like that is not an easy way to make a living. I have firsthand experience, and so it has to be respected. But in my experience in dealing with the mixed martial arts world in the past couple of years, and not just the fans, but the fans are going to be fickle regardless. The media is going to be fickle regardless, so you can't really take that personally. Fans and media don't really know shit most of the time. No offense to you guys, but you know, you probably don't know anywhere near the amount of shit I know. So, but of course, having said that, you know, in MMA, my experience with MMA, and I'm friends with some good MMA fighters, you know, and so I would never branch out everybody as a whole because they will be disrespecting the MMA fighters that I'm friends with and I'm cool with and I've spent time with and I have a lot of respect for and I'm cool with. But I've also been trolled by certain MMA fighters, and like I said, I have no problem putting any of them in there and beating the fuck out of any of them. Conor McGregor, Artem Lobov, Max Holloway, whoever decided to troll me can get it in there. You just have to step up, get in there, and I will beat the fucking shit out of you. It's a way you can settle that, you know, and you can just get in there and do it. Aside from that, don't troll, you know, don't talk about it, be about it. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna be about it, then in Conor's case, you can show a full video or you can fight. In anybody else's case, you can just get in there with me and see for yourself, you know. Other than that, I mean, I can't really take personally what the fans do, and the media to a degree you would expect to be a bit more intelligent than that, or at least not act as so much fanboys. But in today's day and age where everybody can be an internet writer, yeah, there's a lot of fanboys that become media members. So you know, you see like the hard questions don't get asked of like Conor McGregor. You see the hard questions get asked of certain fighters, but not of certain other fighters. You know, and to me that's fanboying it. You know what I'm saying? Because anybody can ask the simple questions to a superstar, but not everybody has the balls to ask the real questions to a superstar. You know, and there's a lot of questions to be asked even to Conor McGregor and about any other top level fighters. So when it comes to that, I never looked at it like it was a rivalry, because fans are going to be fans and they're always going to be fickle. But I also never expected fighters to be trolls either. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's a rivalry, okay. You know, if you're about to fight, I have no problem talking trash back and forth. Like me and Conor, you know, we actually had a personal beef. You know, so there's no problem there. And anytime two fighters are about to actually fight, I have no problem there. That's not, to me, that's not trolling. That's trash talking, because you're actually going to settle it. But when it comes to just total trolling, I never actually expected to see literal athletes starting with the trolling stuff. So like I said, I mean, you don't have to talk about it, you can be about it, and I've said that before. You know, we can get in there and do it. Otherwise, you know, keep my name out of your mouth.
Paulie, knowing that you made the transition,
guys, this is the last question.
Who do you think in the boxing game right now, of the elites, to make the transition here and be successful?
You know, I think it is. There's some good fighters that can make that transition. I like guys like Sean Porter, who's a very physical guy.
Heavy bag with feet just came out.
Okay, I'm gonna get to him in a second. You know, there's you know, guys like Sean Porter I think would be good fighters for BKFC. But of course, he's making a lot of money boxing, so it's not like it's a situation where you're gonna be able to lure him out that easily. You know, I think fighters in their prime are still gonna keep to their promotion and do what they're doing. But I think eventually you'll get to where you need to get to. You know, I'll let you deal with Artem bullshitting you guys now, because he's gonna give you a bunch of bullshit now. What's up, big? Hold on, man. How are you?